You don't heal, you harden. They told you healing means softness, that growth means forgiveness, that strength comes from understanding, patience, and love. They lied. Healing doesn't make you gentle, it makes you cold. It strips away the illusions you used to protect yourself with, the belief that people mean well, the hope that fairness exists, the fantasy that being good is enough. Machiavelli didn't write about healing. He wrote about survival, about power, about the brutal truth that the world doesn't reward your kindness. It punishes your naivety. You've been hurt because you trusted the wrong psychology. You believed that being vulnerable made you human. It didn't. It made you a target. This isn't about becoming cruel. It's about becoming untouchable. It's about understanding that the people who respect you aren't the ones who love you. They're the ones who fear losing access to you. That approval is a trap. That forgiveness without consequence is suicide. That every time you explain yourself, you hand someone the knife to cut you with. Machiavelli studied power for one reason, because power is the only thing that protects you when morality fails. And morality always fails. You've seen it. The good people get used, the loyal ones get betrayed, the fair ones get destroyed. Not because the universe is cruel, because they never learned the 8 lessons that separate the dominated from the dominant. You're here because something broke. Maybe it was a betrayal. Maybe it was rejection. Maybe it was the slow realization that being good didn't save you. It just made you easy to exploit. Good. That break is the beginning. That's where hardening starts. Not hardening your heart, hardening your mind. Training it to see people as they are, not as you hope they'll be. To recognize manipulation before it lands, to value respect over affection, to operate from strategy, not emotion. These 8 lessons aren't philosophy, they're psychology. They're the mechanics of control, dominance, and survival. And by the end, you'll understand why healing was never the goal. Hardening was. 1. Control begins with emotional detachment. You think emotion makes you human. It doesn't. It makes you predictable. Every time you react from feeling, you hand someone else the map to your weakness. They learn what triggers you, what breaks you, what controls you. And once they know that, you're no longer operating from power. You're dancing to their rhythm. Emotional detachment isn't cruelty. It's survival. It's the cold recognition that your feelings are weapons others will use if you let them. Machiavelli understood this. He wrote about princes who ruled not by love, but by calculated distance. They didn't ignore emotion. They studied it, then chose when to feel and when to freeze. That's the difference between dominance and desperation. When you detach, you stop bleeding out over every slight, every rejection, every betrayal. You observe instead of absorb. I've watched people crumble because someone didn't text back, didn't show respect, didn't validate their worth. That's not connection. That's dependency. Real control starts when you can sit in a room full of judgment and feel nothing, not because you're numb, but because you've trained your mind to prioritize strategy over sentiment. The Stoics called it apatheia, not absence of feeling, but mastery over it. Marcus Aurelius led an empire while his own court plotted against him. He didn't rage. He adjusted. Neuropsychology backs this up. The prefrontal cortex, when trained, can override the amygdala's panic response. You can literally rewire your brain to stay cold under pressure. But here's where most people fail. They confuse detachment with suppression. Suppression is shoving your feelings down until they explode. Detachment is acknowledging them, then refusing to let them dictate your moves. You see the anger, the hurt, the need for approval, and you decide it has no vote. This isn't easy. It requires daily practice. When someone disrespects you, pause. Don't defend, don't justify, don't react, just observe. Ask yourself, what would someone with power do here? The answer is usually nothing, or something so measured it terrifies them. Because unpredictability born from emotional control is a psychological weapon. People can't manipulate what they can't predict. Let me give you something practical. Next time you feel that rush of emotion, rage, sadness, desperation, try this. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4, out for 4. Repeat 3 times. It's called box breathing, used by Navy SEALs to stay calm in combat. It forces your nervous system out of fight or flight mode. Then, write down what you felt and why. Don't act on it. Just document it. Over time, you'll notice patterns. You'll see that most of your emotional responses are trained behaviors, not truths. You are conditioned to care, to react, to please. Now you're reconditioning yourself to observe, assess, and move with precision. That's where control lives, not in the absence of emotion, but in the refusal to be ruled by it. The people who control you aren't smarter. They're just less emotional. They see your desperation for respect, your hunger for validation, your fear of being alone, and they exploit it. They know you'll tolerate disrespect if they sprinkle in just enough affection. They know you'll chase approval if they withhold it strategically. This is basic psychology. Variable reward schedules create addiction faster than consistent ones. Slot machines work on this principle. So do toxic relationships. So do power dynamics in every hierarchy. When you detach, you break the cycle. You stop being the slot machine player and start being the house. And the house always wins because the house doesn't hope, it calculates. But calculation without action is just theory, and theory without consequence is weakness. 2. The weak worship fairness. Fairness is a lie you were taught to keep you docile. It's a cage disguised as virtue. You grew up hearing that if you play by the rules, work hard, and treat people right, the universe will reward you. It won't. The universe doesn't care about your good intentions. It rewards power, not fairness. It rewards those who understand that morality is a tool, not a law. Machiavelli said it plainly. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. Fairness is the trap. The weak worship it because it gives them an excuse to stay weak. They believe that by being good, they've earned safety. They haven't. They've earned invisibility. When you demand fairness, you're admitting you have no leverage. You're appealing to a system that was never designed to protect you. Think about it. Who benefits most from everyone playing fair? Those already in power. They've rigged the game, then convinced you that fairness means following their rules. You complain about injustice, about being overlooked, about not getting what you deserve. But deserve according to whom? You're operating in a framework built by people who don't care if you win. They care that you stay predictable. Fairness keeps you waiting for permission. It keeps you polite. It keeps you weak. The strong don't wait for fairness. They create conditions that favor them. That's not evil. That's survival. I've seen this play out in every arena. Business, relationships, social hierarchies. The person who insists on fairness is the one left holding nothing. They split the check evenly, even though they ate less. They give equal effort in a relationship that's one-sided. They respect boundaries while others trample theirs, and they tell themselves they're virtuous. But virtue without consequence is just self-betrayal. Neuropsychology shows that humans are wired for reciprocity, but only when it's enforced. Remove the consequence, and fairness collapses. People take what they can get away with. Always. If you're not willing to enforce respect, you won't receive it. Fairness is a fantasy maintained by those too afraid to demand more. Here's something you can do right now. Identify one area of your life where you've been playing fair and getting nothing in return. Maybe it's a friendship where you always initiate. Maybe it's a job where you do extra work for no recognition. Maybe it's a relationship where you compromise and they don't. Stop. Just stop. Don't announce it. Don't explain it. Just withdraw your energy. Watch what happens. Most of the time, nothing will change. And that tells you everything. They didn't value your fairness. They valued your compliance, the ones who notice. They'll either adjust or reveal their true nature. Either way, you gain clarity. And clarity is the first step toward control. The weak worship fairness because they fear conflict. They'd rather be trampled than confrontational. They've internalized the belief that standing up for themselves makes them selfish, cruel, unjust. So they endure. They smile through disrespect. They tolerate manipulation. They forgive without apology. And they wonder why their life feels like a slow bleed. It's because they've mistaken weakness for morality. Machiavelli warned against this. He said that those who try to be good in all circumstances will be destroyed by those who are not good. That's not cynicism, that's observation. Look at history. The fair rulers were overthrown, the kind leaders were betrayed, the compassionate empires fell. Not because compassion is wrong, but because it was applied without ruthlessness, without the willingness to punish, without the backbone to say, this ends now. 3. Fear builds faster than love. You want to be loved. Everyone does. But love is slow, conditional, and fragile. Fear is immediate, absolute, and unbreakable. Machiavelli asked the question that still haunts moralists today. Is it better to be loved or feared? His answer was clear. Fear. Because love depends on the other person's feelings and feelings change. Fear depends on consequence, and consequence is always present. When someone loves you, they can stop whenever it's convenient. When someone fears you, they calculate the cost of crossing you before they act. That calculation keeps them in line. Not because they respect you, because they respect what you're capable of. And capability, not affection, is the foundation of control. People lie about this. They tell you that respect is earned through kindness, through patience, through being a good person. That's partially true, but only in theory. In practice, respect is earned through boundary enforcement, through the willingness to impose consequences when those boundaries are violated. I've watched too many good people get used, discarded, and forgotten because they prioritize being liked over being feared. They gave endless chances. They forgave too easily. They let disrespect slide because they didn't want confrontation. And what did it get them? More disrespect. Because human psychology is simple. People push until they hit resistance. If you never push back, they'll push you off a cliff and call it your fault for standing too close to the edge. Fear doesn't mean violence. It means certainty. It means people know that crossing you comes with a price they're not willing to pay. This applies to every relationship, professional, personal, social. In business, the boss everyone fears losing gets more loyalty than the boss everyone loves. Why? Because the fear of loss is stronger than the comfort of affection. In relationships, the partner who's willing to walk away has more power than the one desperate to stay. In friendships, the person who sets hard boundaries gets more respect than the one who tolerates everything. This isn't manipulation. This is understanding human nature. People value what they might lose. They take for granted what they're certain they'll keep. If you're always available, always forgiving, always bending, you've taught them you have no breaking point. And without a breaking point, you have no power. Let me give you a framework. Next time someone disrespects you, don't respond emotionally. Respond with distance. Pull back completely. No explanation, no discussion, just absence. Let them feel the void. Most people panic when they realize they've lost access to you. That panic is fear. Fear of consequence, fear of losing what you provided, fear of being wrong. Some will reach out, some won't. The ones who don't were never worth your energy anyway. The ones who do, watch what they offer. If they apologize without being asked, if they adjust their behavior without negotiation, they've learned. They've felt the edge of your boundary and decided not to test it again. That's fear working in your favor. That's psychology, not cruelty. Love is beautiful until it's weaponized against you. People will use your affection as leverage. They'll test how much you'll tolerate in the name of love, loyalty, connection. And if you have no limit, they'll drain you dry. Stoicism teaches that attachment creates vulnerability. Marcus Aurelius loved his wife and children, but he never let that love cloud his judgment as emperor. He understood that power requires emotional distance even from those you care about. Neuropsychology confirms this. The brain's reward centers light up with affection, but fear activates survival instincts. Survival instincts override everything. When someone fears losing you, their brain treats it like a threat to their well-being. They act to preserve access. That's leverage, that's dominance. And dominance isn't about being cruel, it's about never being disposable. 4. Ruthlessness is self-protection. You've been taught that ruthlessness is evil. It's not. It's clarity. It's the refusal to let mercy become a weapon used against you. Every time you spare someone who doesn't deserve it, you're teaching them that your boundaries are negotiable. You're signaling that consequences don't exist in your world. And people who sense that will exploit it until there's nothing left of you. Ruthlessness isn't cruelty for cruelty's sake. It's the cold recognition that some people will only stop when they're forced to stop. Machiavelli didn't advocate for violence. He advocated for precision, for knowing when to cut, when to strike, when to eliminate a threat before it grows. That's not malice. That's survival. And survival always demands more than you're comfortable giving. The weak confuse ruthlessness with anger. They think it's an emotional outburst, a loss of control. It's the opposite. Ruthlessness is control at its highest form. It's the ability to act without hesitation, without guilt, without the paralysis of empathy. Empathy is useful when you're building alliances. It's suicide when you're facing predators. And most people aren't predators. They just hide it well. They smile, they apologize, they promise change. But watch their behavior. Behavior is truth. Words are negotiation. If someone repeatedly crosses your boundaries and suffers no consequence, they've learned that you're weak, not kind. Weak, and weakness invites attack. Always. You can forgive once and call it grace. Forgive twice and you're a target. I'll tell you what changed for me. I used to believe that giving people chances made me strong. It didn't. It made me useful. I was the safe option, the one who'd tolerate disrespect and still show up, the one who'd absorb manipulation and call it misunderstanding. I thought I was being mature, evolved, compassionate. I was being exploited. The shift came when I realized that mercy without discernment is just self-betrayal. Some people don't deserve your patience. They deserve your absence. And the moment you become ruthless with your energy, who gets it, who doesn't, who's cut off entirely, everything changes. People adjust, or they disappear. Either way, you win. Here's a tactical approach. Make a list of every person in your life who's taken more than they've given. Don't sugarcoat it. Write down what they've done, how many times you've let it slide, what you've lost in the process. Then decide, do they add value or do they drain it? If they drain it, remove them. Not with drama, not with explanations. Just stop investing, stop responding, stop being available. This isn't revenge, it's resource management. Your time, energy, and attention are finite. Every moment wasted on someone who doesn't respect you is a moment stolen from someone who does, or worse, from yourself. Ruthlessness in relationships is just efficiency. You're not being cold, you're being strategic. Neuropsychology backs this up. The brain's default mode is to avoid loss, not pursue gain. That's why people cling to toxic relationships. They fear losing what's familiar more than they desire something better. But when you act ruthlessly, you override that wiring. You accept the loss as necessary. You cut off the infected limb to save the body. Machiavelli understood this in political terms. He said that cruelty well used is better than mercy poorly applied. Well-used cruelty is swift, decisive, and rare. It sends a message that lasts. Poorly applied mercy is endless, weak, and breeds contempt. People don't fear you, they pity you. And pity is the death of respect. If you want control, you must be willing to act without mercy when the situation demands it. Not because you enjoy it, because the alternative is being devoured. 5. Approval is the currency of the weak. Every time you seek approval, you give someone else the power to define your worth. You hand them the keys to your psychology and wait for them to decide if you're valuable. That's not connection. That's submission. Approval seeking is the most silent form of self-destruction because it masquerades as social intelligence. You think you're being adaptable, likable, strategic. You're not. You're being controlled. The moment you need someone's validation to feel secure, you've lost. You're no longer operating from internal power. You're operating from external dependency. And dependency is weakness. Machiavelli never wrote about seeking approval. He wrote about commanding respect. Respect doesn't require approval. It requires presence, consistency, and the willingness to stand alone. People can smell desperation. It leaks through your words, your body language, your decisions. When you chase approval, you become predictable. You agree when you should challenge. You laugh when nothing's funny. You tolerate disrespect because you're afraid that setting boundaries will make you unlikable. And in doing so, you become exactly what you fear: disposable. Because people don't value what's always available. They value what's scarce, what's selective, what says, "I don't need you, but I'm choosing to be here." That's the psychology of attraction, of influence, of dominance. The Stoics understood this. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Translation: stop performing for the crowd. Their opinions are noise. Your principles are signal. I've watched people destroy themselves for approval they never received. They worked overtime for recognition that never came. They stayed in relationships hoping their loyalty would be rewarded. They bent themselves into shapes that didn't fit, all to hear someone say, "You matter." And when the approval didn't come, or came too late, they blamed themselves. They thought they weren't good enough, smart enough, worthy enough. But the problem wasn't them. It was the game. Approval is a rigged system. The more you chase it, the less you get. The less you need it, the more it comes. That's not irony. That's human psychology. People gravitate toward those who don't need them. They avoid those who do. Neediness repels. Indifference attracts. Here's what you do. For 1 week, stop seeking validation from anyone. Don't fish for compliments. Don't explain yourself. Don't check if people are watching, listening, caring. Just act from your own internal compass. Make decisions based on what you want, not what they'll think. Post without needing likes. Speak without needing agreement. Exist without needing confirmation. At first, it'll feel like free fall. Your brain will panic because it's been trained to measure your value by external feedback. But push through. By the end of the week, you'll notice something. The people who matter didn't leave, and the people who left didn't matter. You'll also notice that you feel lighter, less anxious, less performative. That's what freedom from approval looks like. It's not arrogance, it's sovereignty. The weak trade approval like currency because they have nothing else to offer. They don't have skills, boundaries, or self-respect. So they buy belonging with compliance. They say yes when they mean no. They tolerate abuse and call it patience. They shrink themselves to fit into spaces that were never meant for them. And the people around them? They don't respect it. They exploit it. Because respect isn't given to those who beg, it's given to those who demand. Not with words, with behavior. With the quiet certainty that says, I know my value. You either see it or you don't. Either way, I'm moving forward. That's power. That's control. And control begins the moment you stop asking for permission to exist. But permission isn't the only prison. Explanation is worse. 6. The strong don't explain. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Not for your decisions, your boundaries, or your silence. Every time you explain yourself, you're asking for permission. You're submitting your choices to someone else's judgment and waiting for their approval. That's not communication, that's negotiation from a position of weakness. The strong don't explain because they don't need to. Their actions speak. Their presence commands. Their decisions stand on their own. When you over-explain, you signal doubt. You signal that you're not confident in your own judgment. And people sense that. They sense the crack in your armor and they push. They question. They challenge. Not because they care about understanding you, because they want to control you. Explanation is an invitation for manipulation. Machiavelli never explained his strategies to those beneath him. He acted, observed the results, and adjusted. Sun Tzu wrote, "Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt." Explanation is the opposite of that. It's revealing your hand before the game is over. It's giving people the blueprint to dismantle you. In business, the leader who constantly justifies their decisions loses respect. In relationships, the partner who explains every boundary gets those boundaries tested. In social dynamics, the person who defends their choices invites criticism, because defense implies there's something to defend against. Confidence doesn't defend, it simply is, and people respect what they can't shake. I stopped explaining years ago. It started small, not justifying why I couldn't attend an event, why I ended a friendship, why I chose one path over another. At first, people pushed back. They asked questions, demanded reasons, acted offended. I said nothing, just held my ground. And you know what happened? They adjusted, or they left. Either way, I gained clarity. The ones who stayed learned to respect my decisions without needing a thesis. The ones who left were never going to respect me anyway. They just wanted control disguised as concern. Neuropsychology shows that humans interpret ambiguity as power. When you don't explain, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability triggers a survival response. People either submit or distance themselves. Both outcomes serve you. Here's a practice. For the next 48 hours, stop explaining your decisions. Someone asks why you can't do something. I can't. That's it. Someone questions your choice. It's what I've decided. No elaboration, no justification. Watch how uncomfortable it makes people. Watch how they try to extract reasoning from you. Don't give it. This isn't about being rude. It's about training yourself and others that your autonomy isn't up for debate. You'll notice that most people weren't asking because they genuinely wanted to understand. They were asking because they wanted leverage. They wanted something to argue against, to guilt you with, to use later. When you remove that option, you remove their power over you. The weak explain because they've been conditioned to believe that transparency equals integrity. It doesn't. Strategic opacity equals power. You don't have to lie. You just don't have to tell the whole truth to people who haven't earned it. Machiavelli said that a wise prince reveals only what serves him. Everyone else operates on partial information. That's not deception. That's discretion. It's understanding that knowledge is power, and you don't distribute power freely. When people know your reasoning, they know how to manipulate you. When they know your fears, they know where to strike. When they know your plans, they know how to sabotage them. Silence isn't weakness. Silence is the fortress. And inside that fortress, you operate freely. But silence alone isn't enough. Forgiveness without consequence is surrender. 7. Every act of forgiveness is a test. Forgiveness isn't virtue. It's a gamble. Every time you forgive someone, you're testing whether they'll respect the mercy or exploit it. Most people exploit it. They see forgiveness as permission to repeat the offense. They hear, "I forgive you," and translate it to, "I'm weak enough to tolerate this again." That's not their fault. It's yours. You taught them that consequences don't exist in your world. You taught them that your boundaries are suggestions, not laws. Machiavelli understood this. He wrote that injuries should be done all at once, so their sting is brief, but benefits should be given little by little. Translation: punish swiftly and completely, or don't punish at all. Half measures don't teach. They enable. And when you forgive without enforcing change, you're not being compassionate. You're being complicit in your own disrespect. The psychology behind forgiveness is simple. Humans operate on behavioral conditioning. If an action produces no negative consequence, the brain registers it as acceptable. Forgiveness without consequence reinforces the behavior you're forgiving. It's why abusers apologize and repeat. Why cheaters promise change and don't. Why manipulators cry and manipulate again. They've learned that your forgiveness is infinite, so why would they stop? You've removed the incentive to change. The Stoics practiced forgiveness, but they also practiced detachment. Marcus Aurelius forgave betrayers, then removed them from power. He didn't hold grudges, he just didn't give them another opportunity to strike. That's wisdom. Forgive the person, but never forget the pattern, and never let the pattern repeat. I've forgiven people who didn't deserve it. I told myself I was being mature, that holding on to anger was toxic, that letting go meant healing. It didn't mean healing, it meant I got hurt again. Because forgiveness without boundaries is just an open invitation for more damage. One relationship in particular, I forgave lies, broken promises, blatant disrespect. Each time they'd apologize with tears and conviction. Each time, I believed them, until I realized the apology was part of the manipulation. They weren't sorry for what they did. They were sorry they got caught. And my forgiveness wasn't grace. It was weakness they could rely on. The moment I stopped forgiving and started removing, everything shifted. They panicked. They promised real change. Too late. The test was over. They failed. Here's how you test forgiveness properly. When someone wrongs you and asks for forgiveness, don't answer immediately. Let them sit in the discomfort. Let them wonder if they've lost you. Then, if you choose to forgive, attach a clear consequence. I forgive you, but if this happens again, I'm done. No conversation, no second chance, just gone. Say it once, mean it completely. Then watch. Most people will test that boundary within weeks. They'll do something smaller, less obvious, but in the same vein. That's the real test. If you let it slide, you've failed. If you walk away without explanation, you've passed. And more importantly, they've learned. Not everyone will test you. Some will genuinely adjust. Those are the ones worth keeping. The rest are predators looking for prey that forgives too easily. Forgiveness is a tool, not a principle. Use it strategically. Forgive when it serves you, when the relationship has value, when the person shows genuine change, when the cost of holding on outweighs the benefit of letting go. But never forgive out of fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of being seen as cold. Fear of confrontation. Those are the forgivenesses that destroy you. Machiavelli said it's safer to be feared than loved because love is fickle, but fear is constant. The same applies to forgiveness. People forget your mercy quickly. They remember your ruthlessness forever. When you forgive too easily, you become forgettable. When you withhold forgiveness strategically, you become unforgettable. And in a world where most people are forgotten, the moment they stop being useful, being unforgettable is survival. But survival isn't built on words. It's built in silence. 8. Power is earned in silence. Silence is the language of power. The moment you feel the need to speak, defend, or justify, you've already lost. Powerful people don't announce their moves. They don't broadcast their intentions. They operate in the shadows, watching, calculating, adjusting. They let others talk, argue, expose themselves, and then they act. Silence isn't passivity. It's strategic restraint. It's the understanding that every word you speak is information someone else can use against you. Machiavelli never trusted those who spoke too much. He trusted those who listened, observed, and struck when the moment was right. Silence creates mystery. Mystery creates respect. Respect creates fear. And fear, as we've established, builds faster than love. When you're silent, people can't read you. They can't predict you. They can't control you. Most people are terrified of silence. They fill every gap with words, explanations, nervous laughter. They think silence is awkward, that it signals discomfort or weakness. It doesn't. It signals dominance. When you're comfortable with silence, you force others to reveal themselves. You let them talk until they contradict themselves, until they expose their real motives, until they hand you the leverage you need. This is interrogation psychology. Law enforcement uses silence to break suspects. Negotiators use it to extract concessions. Predators use it to identify prey. And you should use it to protect your position. Because the person who speaks first loses. The person who explains loses. The person who fills the silence with desperation loses. Stay quiet. Let them squirm. I learned this the hard way. I used to think that speaking up made me strong. that voicing my opinion, defending my stance, proving my point, that all of it mattered. It didn't. It just made me a target. Every time I spoke, I gave people ammunition. They learned what I cared about, what triggered me, where my vulnerabilities were, and they used it. Not overtly, subtly. A comment here, a question there, always poking at the spots I'd revealed. The shift came when I stopped engaging. Someone would criticize me and I'd say nothing. Someone would try to provoke me and I'd just look at them. No defense, no reaction, just cold, measured silence. It unsettled them. They didn't know if I agreed, disagreed, or simply didn't care. And that uncertainty gave me control. Because control isn't about force. It's about making others doubt themselves. Here's a drill. Next time you're in a conversation and someone tries to provoke you, criticism, judgment, passive aggression, don't respond immediately. Count to 5 in your head. Let the silence sit. Watch their face. They'll start to backtrack, clarify, soften their tone. Why? Because silence makes people uncomfortable. It forces them to fill the void, and when they do, they usually overextend. They say more than they meant to. They reveal more than they intended. That's when you have them. You didn't argue. You didn't defend. You just waited. And in that waiting, you gained the upper hand. This works in meetings, arguments, negotiations, relationships. Silence is a weapon. Use it. Power isn't loud. Power doesn't need an audience. It operates in silence because silence is where clarity lives. When you're constantly talking, explaining, defending, you're reacting. Reaction is weakness. Response is strength. And response requires space. Space to think, assess, choose your move. The Stoics practiced silence as a form of discipline. They believed that most speech was wasted, that words should be measured, rare, and intentional. Marcus Aurelius spoke little in public. His power came from presence, not performance. Neuropsychology shows that the brain processes silence as ambiguity, and ambiguity triggers heightened attention. People pay more attention to what you don't say than what you do. When you're silent, you become the mystery they're desperate to solve. And desperation is leverage. Leverage is control. Control is power. And power is never given. It's taken. In silence. You've been given the framework. 8 lessons that separate those who survive from those who get consumed. Control through detachment. Ruthlessness as protection. Silence as dominance. Fear as loyalty. These aren't theories. They're mechanisms, and mechanisms work when you apply them. Most people will watch this and do nothing. They'll nod, agree, feel inspired for a moment, then return to the same patterns that keep them weak. They'll keep explaining themselves, keep chasing approval, keep forgiving without consequence, and they'll wonder why nothing changes. Don't be most people. Machiavelli didn't write for the masses. He wrote for those willing to see the world as it is, not as they wish it were. You now know what the weak worship and what the strong enforce. You know that fairness is fiction. That emotion is exploitable. That mercy without discernment is self-betrayal. The question is, will you act on it? Or will you file this away as interesting content and keep living like someone who hasn't learned? Because learning without application is just entertainment, and entertainment doesn't protect you when the world tests your boundaries. Watch the next video. Your calm is their fear. Machiavellian psychology explained. It builds on what you just absorbed. It shows you how to weaponize composure, how to use silence to dominate conversations, how to make people fear your stillness more than your aggression. Don't skip it. You're not done hardening yet. Now go to the comments and type this exactly. I no longer explain, no context, no elaboration, just those 4 words. That's your declaration. That's your first boundary enforced in public. Let it mark the shift. You don't heal, you harden, and hardening starts now.